The Galactic Concordance Research Station floated silently in the deep darkness of space. It was a massive structure, shaped like a giant wheel with multiple rings that spun slowly to create artificial gravity. Inside one of the observation decks, a group of alien scientists watched their monitoring screens with growing curiosity. Jay Park stood at the main console, his fingers moving quickly across the holographic display. He was different from the other researchers. While most of the alien scientists wore flowing robes or complex environmental suits, Jay wore a simple dark blue uniform with a small patch showing the United Earth Space Exploration Agency. "Something's coming," he said quietly. The other researchers looked up. On the massive screen, a dot of light was approaching. But this wasn't like any spacecraft they had ever seen before. Most ships in the galaxy were smooth, curved, and built with advanced energy shields that made them look almost like drops of liquid metal. This approaching vessel was different. It was angular, made of sharp edges and rough metal plates. It looked old, dangerous, and absolutely out of place. Kira, a Vortian scientist with deep blue skin and 4 arms, leaned closer to the screen. Her translator device hummed softly as she spoke. "That can't be a modern spacecraft. It looks like something from a museum." Another scientist, a tall Luminian with crystal-like skin that shifted colors, nodded in agreement. "The energy signature is strange. It's not using quantum propulsion or light-wave technology." Jay Park remained calm. He had been briefed about this moment. Humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Concordance was about to happen, and he was going to make sure everything went smoothly. Suddenly, the communication systems crackled to life. A voice came through, clear, calm, and completely unexpected. "Galactic Concordance Research Station, this is Captain Hyun Kim of the U.S. Thunderbolt. We are approaching your location and request permission to dock." The aliens looked at each other. The voice was human, but the name of the ship, Thunderbolt, sounded almost like a threat. Kira checked the ship's scans again. Her 4 hands moved quickly over the control panels. "This is impossible," she muttered. "The ship is carrying nuclear weapons, active and ready for deployment." Jay smiled slightly. He knew exactly what the Vortian scientist was discovering. Humans were the only species in the galaxy that still maintained an active nuclear arsenal. Every other civilization had long abandoned such primitive weapons technology, switching to advanced energy-based systems that could destroy planets with a single pulse. But humans were different. The Thunderbolt continued its approach. Its metal hull reflected the starlight, making it look like a sharp blade cutting through the darkness. Inside the research station, tension began to build. These were humans, a species most of the Galactic Concordance knew very little about. A species that had somehow achieved faster than light travel and advanced space exploration, yet still kept technology that other civilizations had abandoned centuries ago. "Prepare the docking protocols," Jay said to the team. "And make sure all security measures are in place. Our guests might be friendly, but they're definitely not typical." As the Thunderbolt drew closer, the alien scientists realized that everything they thought they knew about spacefaring civilizations was about to change. Humanity was not just another species to be cataloged and understood. They were something else entirely, unpredictable, complex, and potentially dangerous. First contact was about to begin. The meeting room was unlike anything the Galactic Concordance had ever prepared for. Smooth, curved walls typical of alien architecture had been quickly replaced with a more neutral setting to accommodate their human guests. Captain Hyun Kim stood at the center, his posture straight and calm, wearing a dark military uniform that seemed almost primitive compared to the holographic and energy-based clothing of the alien diplomats. Woo Jin Lee stepped forward. He was the human diplomatic representative, chosen specifically for this first contact mission. In his hands, he carried a slim data pad, an actual physical device that made the alien representatives exchange worried glances. "Distinguished members of the Galactic Concordance," Wu began, his voice clear and steady. We appreciate the opportunity to establish communication and potential cooperation. The Vortian Grand Diplomat, Selnaga, shifted uncomfortably in his floating chair. His four arms moved in a complex gesture that translated to a mix of curiosity and concern. We have reviewed your initial approach data. Your vessel, it carries weapons that we consider obsolete. Wu smiled. It was not a warm smile, but a calculated one. Nuclear capabilities, he corrected, are a critical component of our defensive strategy. A Luminian diplomat, whose crystal-like skin changed colors with emotional shifts, couldn't contain her confusion. But why? Your technological scans show advanced quantum computing. Your medical technologies are decades ahead of most known civilizations. Why maintain such primitive weaponry? Captain Kim, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Insurance, he said simply. The universe is unpredictable. The room fell silent. Every alien in the chamber understood the weight of that single word, insurance, but their understanding of insurance was different. For most galactic civilizations, insurance meant advanced shields, diplomatic networks, and complex early warning systems. For humans, insurance meant keeping nuclear weapons ready. Wu began his presentation. Holographic images appeared, showing the evolution of human nuclear technology. But these weren't the crude, destructive weapons of Earth's past. These were precise, controlled, with multiple fail-safe mechanisms. Each slide showed how humans had refined a technology that every other species had abandoned. Our nuclear capabilities are not about destruction, Wu explained. They're about deterrence, about ensuring that conflict never begins. Selnaga leaned forward. His translator device worked overtime to capture the nuances of human speech. You mean to tell me that you maintain weapons capable of massive destruction as a method of preventing destruction? Exactly, Captain Kim replied. The alien diplomats looked at each other. This was a concept completely foreign to their understanding of galactic peace. Most species had long ago agreed to disarm, to create complex diplomatic networks that prevented conflict through mutual understanding and technological exchange. Humans seemed to be saying, we'll prevent conflict by being ready for the worst possible scenario. A Krell scientist, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. Your approach is illogical, and yet the mathematical probability models suggest a strange effectiveness. Wu nodded. He knew exactly what the scientist meant. Humans had studied conflict, violence, and prevention in ways that other species had forgotten. Their history was a complex tapestry of war and peace, of destruction and rebuilding. As the meeting continued, the Galactic Concordance began to realize that humans were not just another species to be understood. They were a puzzle, a contradiction, a civilization that could develop world-changing medical technologies and maintain nuclear arsenals with the same calm efficiency. Captain Kim's final words hung in the air. We don't want war. But if war comes, we're ready. The diplomatic meeting was far from over, and the aliens were beginning to understand that everything they knew about spacefaring civilizations was about to change. The research complex of the Galactic Concordance buzzed with activity. Dozens of scientists from different alien species worked together to understand the most puzzling species they had ever encountered, humans. Dr. Yim Su Park sat in the main research laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays and complex scanning equipment. She was the lead xenotechnological researcher assigned to study human technology. Her team included a mix of alien scientists, each more confused than the last. Look at this, she said, pointing to a complex holographic model of a human nuclear weapon. The model rotated slowly, revealing intricate details that made the other scientists gasp. This was not the crude nuclear technology of ancient Earth. This was something entirely different. A Vortian researcher named Kira moved closer, her four arms adjusting the holographic controls. The fail-safe mechanisms are incredible, she muttered. Multiple layers of protection. Precision control systems that make our most advanced weapons look like children's toys. The human nuclear weapon was a marvel of engineering, Unlike the destructive devices of human history, this was a carefully designed piece of technology. Each component was engineered with a level of precision that seemed almost impossible. Quantum-level sensors, multiple fail-safe triggers, and adaptive control systems made it something more than a weapon. It's not just a weapon, Dr. Park explained. It's a complex technological system, a tool of last resort, but a tool nonetheless. The alien researchers struggled to understand. Most galactic civilizations had long abandoned physical weapons. They used energy shields, quantum disruption fields, and advanced diplomatic networks to prevent conflicts. Weapons were seen as primitive, a sign of an underdeveloped civilization. But humans were different. Another researcher, a Luminian with crystal-like skin that changed color with his emotions, zoomed in on the weapons control systems. Their quantum computing is decades ahead of our current technology, he said, yet they maintain these physical weapons. Dr. Park smiled. She had spent months preparing for this moment of first contact. Humans believe in layers of protection, she explained. Advanced technology doesn't replace older technologies. It complements them. The research team pulled up more data. Humans had quantum computers that could solve complex problems in milliseconds. They had medical technologies that could cure diseases thought impossible to treat. Their space exploration technologies were advanced beyond most galactic civilizations. And yet, they kept nuclear weapons. A holographic display showed the evolution of human technology. Quantum computers next to refined nuclear weapons. Advanced medical scanners beside carefully maintained missile systems. It was a technological landscape that made no sense to the alien researchers. Redundancy, Dr. Park said, sensing the confusion. Humans never rely on a single system. They always have backup plans. The Krell scientist, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. It's like they are preparing for multiple possible futures. Not just the most likely one, but every possible scenario. Each scan revealed more complexity. The nuclear weapons were not just old technology kept for nostalgia. They were actively maintained, continuously improved, integrated with the most advanced control systems imaginable. As the research continued, the alien scientists began to realize something profound. Humans were not bound by the technological limitations that restricted other civilizations. They didn't see technology as a linear progression. For them, technology was a toolbox, and every tool had its purpose. Dr. Park looked at her team. "We're not just studying a weapon," she said. "We're studying an entire approach to technology, an entire philosophy of survival." The research would continue. And with each discovery, the Galactic Concordance would understand less and be more fascinated by humans. The technological paradox was just beginning. The interview room was silent except for the soft humming of translation devices. Sergeant Mark Kim sat across from a panel of alien researchers, his posture relaxed but alert. He wore a simple military uniform, dark green and well-pressed, with a small United Earth patch on his shoulder. "Tell us about human military philosophy," asked Pixel Naga, the Vordian diplomat, his four arms folded carefully. Mark took a moment before speaking. "We don't want war," he said clearly. "But if war comes, we'll be ready." The aliens exchanged glances. This was not the answer they expected. Most galactic civilizations had elaborate peace networks. They solved conflicts through complex diplomatic channels, quantum communication, and shared technological exchanges. Humans seemed different. A Luminian researcher leaned forward. Her crystal-like skin shifted from a calm blue to a curious green. But why maintain weapons of such destructive potential? Mark's answer was simple. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. The interview continued. Each question revealed more about human culture that the aliens found strange and fascinating. Humans had a history of conflict, of war, of destruction, but also of incredible recovery and innovation. They didn't glorify violence, but they understood it in a way no other species did. "Our history is not just about fighting," Mark explained. "It's about survival. about coming back from the worst possible situations. The researchers pulled up historical records. Earth's history was a complex tapestry of terrible wars and remarkable recoveries. Civilizations that had nearly destroyed themselves, only to rebuild and advance. Cities reduced to ash, then transformed into technological wonderlands. Populations decimated by conflict, then growing stronger and more united. A Krell scientist asked about nuclear weapons specifically. Why keep them? They seem inefficient. Mark smiled. It was not a happy smile, but a calculated one. Inefficiency can be a form of protection. If an enemy knows you might use something unpredictable, they think twice. The aliens struggled to understand. In their civilizations, conflict was solved through precise mathematical models, diplomatic negotiations, and shared technological understanding. Humans seem to operate on a different level entirely. We don't want to use these weapons, Mark repeated, but we're prepared to use them if everything else fails. Historical records showed something remarkable. Despite having the capability to destroy themselves many times over, humans had become more peaceful. They developed technologies of healing, of communication, of understanding. But they never completely removed their ability to defend themselves. The interview revealed a philosophy that was both terrifying and oddly rational. Humans didn't see weapons as a first solution. They saw them as a last resort, a final line of defense when all other options were gone. Imagine a world, Mark said, where being prepared prevents the need to fight. The aliens looked at each other. This was a concept completely foreign to their understanding of conflict resolution. Most galactic species had long ago agreed to complete disarmament, believing that removing weapons would prevent war. Humans seemed to be saying, "We'll prevent war by being ready for the worst possible scenario." As the interview ended, the Vordian diplomat Selnaga made a note in his personal log. Humans, he wrote, are not just a species. They are a complex system of survival, adaptation, and unexpected resilience. The cultural exchange was far from over, and with each conversation, the Galactic Concordance was learning that humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. The Galactic Concordance Military Strategy Chamber was not designed for tension. Its smooth, curved walls usually reflected calm discussions and peaceful problem-solving. But today, something was different. Admiral Helena Rodriguez stood at the central holographic display. She was human, which made her presence unusual enough. Around her, military strategists from various alien species watched with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Let me be clear," she said, her voice calm and direct. "Humanity's approach to conflict prevention is not about aggression. It's about calculation." The holographic display came to life. It showed multiple scenarios of potential galactic conflicts, with human strategic responses highlighted in sharp, angular lines that contrasted with the smooth projections of other civilizations. A Vordian strategic analyst named Kira moved closer. Her four arms manipulated the holographic controls, zooming into different conflict scenarios. "Your strategic models are different," she said carefully. Helena nodded. "Different is good in strategy," she explained. "Predictability is a weakness." The display showed something shocking. In every simulated conflict scenario, human strategies included multiple backup plans, where other civilizations would have one or two response options. Humans had complex, layered strategies that included diplomatic solutions, technological interventions, and, if absolutely necessary, military action. The nuclear option was always the last choice, but it was always an option. "We don't want war," Helena repeated, a phrase the aliens were becoming familiar with. "But we're prepared for any possibility." A Luminian strategist with crystal-like skin that changed colors with emotional shifts looked confused. But why maintain such destructive capabilities? Most galactic civilizations have moved beyond physical weapons. Helena brought up a historical projection. It showed Earth's complex history. Periods of terrible conflict followed by remarkable recoveries. Civilizations that had nearly destroyed themselves, only to rebuild and advance. cities reduced to ash, then transformed into technological wonderlands. Preparation is not aggression, she said. It's survival. The military strategists watched as human strategic models played out. They were nothing like the smooth, predictable strategies of other galactic civilizations. Human strategies were messy, complex, with multiple branching possibilities. They didn't follow standard diplomatic or military logic. Kira, the Vordian analyst, made a critical observation. Your strategies, they're not about winning. They're about surviving. Helena smiled. Exactly. The holographic display showed something remarkable. In conflict scenarios, human strategies always included multiple fail-safe mechanisms. Diplomatic channels remained open. Technological solutions were constantly explored. Military action was a last resort, but when used, it was precise and calculated. And nuclear capabilities, they were the ultimate insurance policy. We don't want to use these weapons, Helena explained, but their existence prevents conflicts from starting. The alien strategists began to understand. Humans weren't interested in galactic domination. They were interested in protection, in survival, in ensuring that no single threat could completely destroy them. As the strategy session continued, the Galactic Concordance military leaders realized something profound. Humans were not just another species to be categorized and understood. They were a complex system of survival, adaptation, and unexpected resilience. Captain Hyun Kim's words from the first diplomatic meeting echoed in the chamber. We don't want war. But if war comes, we're ready. The strategic implications were clear. Humanity was not a threat, but they were definitely not to be underestimated. The Intergalactic Technology Conference was unlike any previous meeting. Smooth alien presentation halls had been redesigned to accommodate human delegates. Dr. Jisoo Park stood at the center of the main stage, her presentation display flickering with a mix of advanced and seemingly outdated technologies. Our approach is simple, she began, her voice clear and steady. We don't throw away old tools. We improve them. The alien scientists shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Most galactic civilizations believed in constant technological replacement. When a technology became outdated, it was discarded completely. Humans seemed to operate on a different principle entirely. Dr. Park's first slide showed something that made the alien researchers gasp. A modern quantum computer sat next to a refined nuclear weapon system. Advanced medical scanners were displayed alongside carefully maintained missile technologies. A Vordian scientist named Kira raised her hand. Her four arms moved in a complex gesture of confusion. But why keep these old technologies? She asked. Backup, Dr. Park replied simply. Redundancy. Options. The presentation continued. Each slide revealed more of the human technological philosophy that confused and fascinated the alien researchers. Where other civilizations saw technology as a linear progression, humans saw it as a toolbox. Every tool had its purpose. Nothing was completely discarded. The quantum computer could solve complex problems in milliseconds. The nuclear weapon system had been refined with precision sensors and multiple fail-safe mechanisms. Medical technologies could cure diseases thought impossible to treat, and humans kept them all. A Luminian researcher with crystal-like skin that changed colors with emotional shifts leaned forward. Your technological approach makes no sense, he said. Most civilizations remove outdated technologies completely. Dr. Park smiled. We don't see technology as outdated, she explained. We see it as a potential solution to an unknown problem. The conference room fell silent. This was a completely foreign concept to the alien researchers. Most galactic civilizations believed in clean, efficient technological progression. They replaced old systems quickly, always moving forward. Humans seemed to be saying, we'll keep our options open. The next part of the presentation showed something even more shocking. Humans had taken old technologies and improved them in ways no one expected. The nuclear weapon systems were not relics. They were carefully maintained, continuously upgraded technological platforms. Each system has multiple layers of protection, Dr. Park explained. Multiple ways to prevent accidental use. Multiple fail-safe mechanisms. Kira, the Vordian scientist, made a critical observation. It's not about the weapon, she said slowly. It's about the approach to technology. Dr. Park nodded. Exactly. The technological exchange became tense. Other alien civilizations presented their most advanced energy weapons and defensive systems. Sleek, smooth technologies that looked like works of art. Humans presented their systems, a mix of advanced quantum technologies and carefully maintained older systems. We don't discard, Dr. Park said. We improve. As the conference continued, the alien researchers began to understand something profound. Humans were not bound by the technological limitations that restricted other civilizations. They saw technology differently, not as a linear path, but as a complex system of tools and possibilities. Captain Hyun Kim's words from the first diplomatic meeting echoed in the conference hall. We don't want war. But if war comes, we're ready. The technological exchange was far from over. And with each presentation, the Galactic Concordance was learning that humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. The simulation chamber was silent. Rows of alien military strategists and scientific researchers watched the holographic displays with growing tension. This was the moment they would truly understand human capabilities. Captain Hyun Kim stood at the center of the chamber, his uniform crisp and his posture calm. Beside him, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a weapons systems specialist, prepared the demonstration. We will now show you what true defensive capability means, she said. The holographic display came to life. It showed a complex conflict scenario, multiple attacking forces, advanced defensive systems from various galactic civilizations. Each civilization would demonstrate its most advanced defensive and offensive technologies. When other species presented their solutions, they were elegant, smooth energy shields that could deflect entire asteroid fields, quantum disruption fields that could neutralize entire fleets, advanced defensive technologies that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Then came the human demonstration. Dr. Rodriguez's fingers moved across a control panel that looked almost archaic compared to the holographic interfaces of other species. The screen showed a simple nuclear-capable system. The alien researchers looked confused. This seemed like an outdated approach. But then something extraordinary happened. The human system cut through every single defensive mechanism. Where other technologies failed, the human solution found a way through. It wasn't about brute force. It was about understanding the weaknesses in complex systems. Our approach is different, Captain Kim explained. We don't rely on a single method of defense or attack. The simulation continued. The human system demonstrated multiple layers of approach. Diplomatic solutions were always the first option. Technological interventions came next, and if absolutely necessary, a precise, carefully controlled nuclear response would be the final option. A Vordian military strategist named Kira leaned forward. Her forearms moved in a complex gesture of shock and confusion. This is impossible, she muttered. The demonstration revealed something profound. Humans had studied conflict in ways no other species had. They understood that complex systems always have weaknesses, and they were prepared to exploit those weaknesses if necessary. We don't want to use these weapons, Dr. Rodriguez said clearly, but we're prepared to use them if everything else fails. The alien researchers watched as the human system found solutions that no other civilization could imagine. It wasn't about destroying everything. It was about precise, calculated responses. A Luminian scientist with crystal-like skin that changed colors with emotional shifts spoke up. Your approach is not about winning, he said. It's about surviving. Captain Kim nodded. Exactly. The simulation ended. The chamber was completely silent. The alien researchers realized something important. Humans were not just another species to be understood. They were a complex system of survival, adaptation, and unexpected resilience. The human demonstration had shown something critical. In a universe of advanced technologies and complex defensive systems, humans had found a way to remain unpredictable, to remain strong. "We don't want war," Captain Kim repeated, a phrase that was becoming familiar to the alien researchers. "But if war comes, we're ready." The demonstration was over, but the understanding was just beginning. The Galactic Concordance would never look at humans the same way again. The Concordance Central Archives were unlike any other place in the known galaxy. Massive data storage systems collected information from thousands of civilizations. But today, something was different. The archivists were studying one species more carefully than ever before: humans. J. Park sat at the main research terminal. Around him, alien researchers from different species worked together to understand the most puzzling civilization they had ever encountered. "Look at this," he said, bringing up a complex holographic display of human history. The display showed something remarkable. Where other civilizations had smooth, predictable historical progressions, human history was a complex web of conflicts, recoveries, innovations, and unexpected turns. Wars that should have destroyed them became moments of incredible unity. Technologies developed in times of conflict transformed into tools of peace. A Vortian researcher named Kira moved closer. Her forearms adjusted the holographic controls. "Their approach makes no sense," she muttered. "But it works." The historical records told a story unlike any other. Humans had survived multiple near-extinction events. They had faced global conflicts that should have destroyed them. Yet each time, they came back stronger, more united, more innovative. The nuclear weapons were just one piece of a much larger puzzle. "They're not interested in conquest," said a Luminian historian, her crystal-like skin shifting colors as she studied the data. "They're interested in survival." The researchers pulled up more information. Humans had developed technologies that could destroy entire planets, but they had also developed medical systems that could save millions of lives. They created weapons, but also the most advanced peacekeeping technologies in the galaxy. Zelnaga, the senior Vortian diplomatic advisor, reviewed the final report. His forearms moved carefully as he added his notes to the central database. "Humans are not a threat," he dictated. "They are a complex system of survival." The archives revealed something profound. Where other civilizations saw technology and conflict as linear progressions, humans saw them as complex, interconnected systems. A weapon was not just a weapon. It was a tool of last resort, a diplomatic strategy, a method of preventing conflict. "They keep nuclear weapons," J. Park explained to his team, "not because they want to use them, but because their existence prevents conflicts from starting." The Krell scientist who had been quietly analyzing the data spoke up. "It's a form of advanced diplomacy," he said. "Most species would call it primitive, but it's actually incredibly sophisticated." More research revealed layers of human complexity. Their military systems were designed with multiple fail-safe mechanisms. Their diplomatic approaches always included backup plans. They did not seek conflict, but they were prepared for any possibility. Captain Hyun Kim's words from the first diplomatic meeting echoed through the archives. "We don't want war. But if war comes, we're ready." The galactic researchers began to understand. Humans were not just another species to be categorized. They were a unique approach to survival. A civilization that understood that being prepared was sometimes the best way to prevent conflict. As the day ended, the Concordance archives updated their classification. Humans were no longer just another spacefaring civilization. They were something else entirely. Unpredictable, resilient, complex, and absolutely fascinating. The final diplomatic meeting was different from all the others. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Concordance had been redesigned to accommodate human representatives. Where previous meetings felt tense, this one felt like something else entirely. Captain Hyun Kim stood at the center of the room. Beside him, Dr. Elena Rodriguez and J. Park represented different aspects of human civilization. They were not here to prove anything. They were here to understand. Zelnaga, the senior Vortian diplomat, spoke first. His forearms moved in a gesture of respect that was new for his species. "We have studied your civilization," he said, "and we have learned something important." The room fell silent. "Humans are not what we expected," Selnaga continued. "You are not a threat, but you are not like any other species we have encountered." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. "We don't want to be a threat," she said simply. "We want to survive, to grow, to understand." The diplomatic representatives from various alien species listened carefully. They had spent months studying human history, human technology, human approach to conflict and survival. What they discovered was something completely unexpected. Humans were not interested in galactic domination. They were interested in protection, in survival, in ensuring that no single threat could completely destroy them. The nuclear weapons were just one piece of a much larger puzzle. J. Park brought up a final holographic display. It showed the complex history of human technological and social development. Wars that should have destroyed them became moments of incredible unity. Technologies developed in times of conflict transformed into tools of peace. "We learn," Jay explained. "We adapt. We survive." A Luminian researcher with crystal-like skin that changed colors with emotional shifts spoke up. "Your approach is not about winning," she said. "It's about continuing." Captain Kim nodded. "Exactly," he said. The diplomatic meeting revealed something profound. Humans understood something that most galactic civilizations had forgotten. Survival was not about having the most advanced technology. It was about being ready for anything, about maintaining options, about understanding that the universe was unpredictable. "We don't want to use these weapons," Dr. Rodriguez repeated, a phrase that had become familiar to the alien researchers. "But we're prepared to protect ourselves if necessary." The alien representatives looked at each other. They had entered this meeting with fear and confusion. They were leaving with something else: respect, understanding, a new way of looking at conflict and survival. Zelnaga made a final note in the diplomatic records. "Humans," he wrote, "are a unique approach to civilization. Not a threat, not a problem to be solved, but a complex system of survival, adaptation, and unexpected resilience." As the meeting concluded, something had changed. The Galactic Concordance would never look at humans the same way again. Captain Hyun Kim's words from the first diplomatic meeting echoed one last time. "We don't want war. But if war comes, we're ready." But now, those words meant something different. They were not a threat. They were a promise, a commitment to survival, to protection, to finding a way forward. The universe was about to change, and humans would be ready for whatever came next.